Hello, everybody. Today I'm back reading this Lovey Love Me, a Prime movie original by Prime Video UK. Then let's continue to chapter 4. June, give me your number. Let's go out tonight. I was stunned when Amelia asked me after school. After this point, I transferred from one school to another without making a single friend. But since moving to Los Angeles, I already met two people. Maybe she asked me out of pity. I still wasn't 100% sure, but it sounded like Amelia invited me to the skateboard this evening with Brian and one of his friends. I'll think about it, I answered reluctantly as I headed home. I w- it, it wasn't that I didn't like the idea of hanging out with them. The real reason was much more embarrassing. I had no idea what to wear. I'd never go out at night except to take out the trash. My life is so exciting, isn't it? I looked through my closet in search of something cute. Jeans, and more jeans. Okay, I give in. I will. I'll wear these. My drawers were even worse. I rummaged and only found t-shirts. I knew this, but I kept digging through my dresser as if I were conjuring up something gorgeous out of thin air. Come to think of it, I hadn't updated my summer clothes in a while. Sweatshirts and windbreakers were my battle uniform in Seattle, but it was too hot for that in California, so I had to change my style. If you can call wearing something like an oversized t-shirt in jean styles, I opted for a white t-shirt and a pair of comfortable jeans. I gave myself the once over in the mirror with just enough time to brush my hair and groom my eyebrows. I went downstairs to find my tennis shoes. June, sit down, Mom voiced sounded anything but promising. She was sitting on the couch and regarded me cautiously. My new painting collection is selling better than I expected. A gallery curator wants to see my new pieces. It wasn't a very nice thing to say, but I automatically turned her out every time she started thinking about her doodles or art in general. And he invited me to have dinner with him. My eyes perked up when I heard this. Is this a joke? I demanded as I rummaged through the shoe rack on the door. I folded my arms and turned around facing her. What do you think? I said. He, he can help me exhibit at more than one gallery. He wants to talk about exhibiting at the human. He wants to talk about exhibiting at the Hammer Museum if someone wants to buy a piece. I make it mid June, and after everything we've been through, get to the point I cut her off, annoying at how long she was taking. We could be here for another year, and you're telling me this because I want you to come with me. Scuff. Forget it, Mom. I'm not going to be your third wheel. She placed her hand on the pile of papers on the glass table. June, please be serious. It's a very important evening for me, and I want it to be important for you too. If I sell my whole collection, we're probably one. have to move for a while. Is this a trap? Is a woman who gave birth to me really trying to pull one over on me? I stared at her until a light bulb went off in my head. Does that mean I will graduate from a new school? Of course, she leafed through her sketch photo when suddenly she looked up straight at me. June, why are you all dressed up? Where are you going? You just realized I was dressed up to the skateboard with friends. Sorry, what? Her eyes widened. If her hands were free, she would have definitely used them to close her mouth. Yeah, I made friends on the first day of school. It is so weird, isn't it? Aren't those dangerous? She frowned. Mom, the 90s are over. You're not a teenager anymore. Chill. I groaned as I walked toward the end of the hall and put my hands on the doorknob. Honey, your jacket. I pretended to grab my jacket and left my phone. I pretended to grab my jacket and left with my phone. Sorry. Be home by 11, I heard yell. Jeans and white t-shirt, simple but effective. I wasn't expecting to hear from Brian, especially while I was sitting next to Amelia in the mirror, in Amelia in the back seat, with him looking at me from the rearview mirror. Brian was a typical athlete that could make anyone fall head over heels in love with him. He seems introverted but secure with himself. Is that supposed to be a compliment? I inquired apprehensively as my eyes drifted from his shoulders to his arms while he grabbed the wheel. Tattoos that I hadn't noticed before adorned his tanned biceps. This is my best friend Blaze, he said as he motioned to the passenger seat. A nice looking guy wearing a charcoal beanie smiled at me. His skin was as pale as alabaster, contrasting with his onyx eyes. I'm June, nice to meet you. He didn't chuckle at my name, so he was automatically okay in my book. Amelia sighed impatiently. She stuck out her head and shook her brother's shoulders with both hands. He still hadn't started the car. Are we going or not? We got to the skateboard around 9, and I quickly realized that it was swarmed by kids and families. The sun had just set, and a light, cool breeze brushed past my bare arms. I rubbed my shoulders in an attempt to warm up. Cold, Blaze asked. Nah, I'm good. I said out of pride while eyeing the blue cardigan that he was holding. He smiled and shoved the cardigan right under my nose. All right, suit yourself. The breeze made me miss Seattle. At least Seattle hits you in the face with the cold. It didn't trick you by being 75 degrees Fahrenheit outside when you left the house only for the temperature to plummet as soon as the sun set. How was your first day of school? Blaze asked me hesitantly. The voice was delicately melodious, soft, and always kind. I caught him fiddling with his hoodie sleeves, indicating that he was feeling uncomfortable. Better than I expected, I declared as we walked into the park. Consider that you met these two, Blaze mentioned toward Brian and Amelia. I'm guessing you had extremely low expectations. Amelia pushed him so hard that he lost balance. It's always the same with you, Blaze. Be grateful that we're your ride. If it weren't for us, you'd be sitting on the couch right now watching those Korean dramas that your mom loves so much. Blaze's cheeks turned pink and he looked down bashfully. I'm so sorry, my mom Korean, and my dad would prefer to put me up for adoption instead of letting me use his car. Fine, play the victim. You can fool Yoon, but it won't work with us, Brian teased as I hinted a smile. As they bantered back and forth, we reached another area of the park. The vibe changed completely. No families, just a group of students, some younger, some older than us. In weird, pungent, smoky odor filled my nostril. Do you know how skateboard began, June? I shook my head. In the 70s, there was major drought, so people used the empty pools to roller skate or skateboard, Blaze explained. Man, Blaze is really into her, Amelia whispered in her brother's ear and making me slightly uncomfortable. June, I won't ask you again, but if you cold, you can wear my cardigan. Blaze strained to me look Blaze strained to look me in the eyes. I started to stutter. No, no, no. I'm. The skateboard ramps bent and curved around themselves, tapering at some points and wandering at others. There was every kid of ramp from beginner to expert level. Most kids were concentrated in the widest part of the basins, trying out new tricks and routines. As soon as we sat down near a small cafe, Brian left to find a group of guys in their football jersey. Who are they? I asked Amelia as Brian bent over toward a petite brunette. They were making it so passionately that I had to look away. Brian's teammates. They have a game in a couple of days. The weird order made me gag and cough. It hung in the air. It hung in the air everywhere. If I came home reeking of that stench, my mom would have forced me to take a bodyguard with me. Amelia pulled out a blanket from her bag and laid it out on the grass with Blaze. We were sitting and talking for around 10 minutes when Brian came back in a weird, indecipherable mood. Sure, you're still not getting any, huh? His sister teased as she waved at the girls. Come on, for once. He seemed like truly in love. Don't torture him. Blaze grinned. I moved closer to Amelia to make space for Brian, whose eyes still glued to his girlfriend. I've never met anyone like her. Amelia seemed to be an expert in everything romantic. My best friend falls in love with my brother. Groundbreaking, she commented sarcastically. I tell you, Ari. I told you, Ari and I are meant to be. June, you'll have to excuse my brother. He's crazy. He believes in that whole soulmate bullshit. She mocked cynically. Do you believe in soulmates, Blaze? I asked curious in his point of view. I don't know. Unlike Amelia, I definitely believe that you only find true love once in a lifetime, though. Incredible. Out of an entire group of friends, the only person who didn't believe in love was a girl? How about you? Brian inquired, catching me off guard. If only they knew that the extent of my existing no list, pondering was limited to whether lasagna or pizza was better. I don't know. My parents are divorced. My dad got remarried and had two more kids. So I don't really believe that you only find true love once in your life. Brian looked crestfallen by by what I just said, and he stared into space. Sorry about your parents, but think about it. Maybe they weren't meant to be together, Blaze commented in an attempt to reassure me. Yeah, well, luckily my mom hasn't met anyone since. I mumble. Good. Parents are freaky at that age. It makes you want to use earplugs all night, Emilia joked. I smiled as my eyes wandered toward the park. I managed to make out enough white clouds in the dark, illuminated only by street lamps. Little by little, it disappeared, replaced by the outline of a tall, blond guy wearing a jacket that showcased his muscular shoulders. Come closer. He looks like Jackson, the guy with the piercing, the guy who picked a fight with Brian in class. But he wasn't alone. A blonde cheerleader and a curly haired cheerleader stood out from the rest of the group. And of course, he was there too, James, staring at the sky. She leaned her back against a tree trunk. She narrowed her eyes and scoffed in frustration, as if the sun had gotten right in her eyes. Even though it was dark outside, she wore a gym tank top that hugged her sides and exposed her tanned, muscular arms. She vaped lazily as girls spoke to her. Let's see, June. What do you think? Neither Blaze nor the object of my interest escaped my curious glances. Huh? What are you talking about? I asked, feigning confusing. It didn't take me long to realize how easy it would be to fall under his spell. James insisted on gently running his finger through the wavy locks that framed his temple. He didn't realize we were there, but it was really hard for me to take my eyes off him. What do you think of James Hunter? I like the opinion of someone who doesn't know him. Please continue as Brian theoretically groaned. Why do you ask? I inquired. Your opinion of him says a lot about who you are, Brian interjected. Please narrow his eyes at Brian. June, they just want to know if you're like all the other girls in school, Amelia explained, coming to my rescue. I turned around to look at James. He was objectively hot. What else could I say? That thinking he was just hot wasn't enough. Brian and Blaze certainly didn't have such sculpted cheekbones, let alone his perfectly tousled hair. Just look at his hair made me want to run my fingers through it. I shook my head to expel the thought out of my brain. His gaze was biting, almost cruel, and didn't seem to suggest anything good. I hesitated. Brian was getting impatient. Well, he's not really my type. I mean, he's attractive, but nobody get by with just their looks in life. Ding, ding, ding! We have a winner. They announced you are hereby a member of our group. What's going on right here in this conversation? Brian and Amelia were talking among themselves. You know, I hate it when you smoke, he scolded. Amelia rolled her eyes insolently. Man, you're such a downer. I only had one puff, she groaned in irritation. June, just go walk around. At first, I didn't move. Amelia and I didn't know each other that well, but when she turned around and shot me a look, I jumped to my feet. I take it to you, Brian. Are really close, I guess, as she picked up her pace. Yeah, sometimes it's worse than having a dad, she answered as she brought the vape pen closer to her lips. He must keep he must keep you on a tight leash. Amelia turned her head toward me. He's so possessive. Is that why he had such a beef with Hunter because you guys were together? She stopped, dead in her tracks, a few feet away from some kids who were falling off the skateboards. She took a long drag of her vape pen, refusing to dignify my question with an answer. You want a puff? She asked me, passing me the vape pen. No thanks, I don't vape, I answer. Look, June, the whole James thing is a little more complicated than Blaze snuck up on us. We both jump. What are you talking about? Did my brother ask you to keep an eye on me? She demanded vigilantly. I'm curious, Brian clarified gently. James' family might have bad blood. Amelia froze, but this time it wasn't because of Blaze. Oh no, she murmured, looking straight in front of her. I turned my attention to the direction that she was staring in and immediately saw the reason of her anger. Well, 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 look who we have here. I found myself face to face with James, surrounded by a cloud of white smoke. It sounded, it sounded innocuous, but something in his face told me that it was anything but. Hood sister, he thundered. Amelia lifted her chin defiantly. The principal's son blazed bit his lip. He lowered his gaze maliciously at me and sounded out my name with his lips. And June White. He pronounced each our name with a biting tone that ended with a note of derision. James curled his lip into an angry snarl as if he were almost nauseated by saying each our name. He took a drag of his vape pen, inhaled the smoke, and blew it in our faces. I coughed. Oh, can Snow White here not handle smoke? It does smoke that bothers me. It's you, I retorted angrily. Oh. I got to school with people from all walks of life, some of whom were from notoriously rough areas, and while I'd always minded my own business, I knew how to defend myself when I had to. Decades with loose neckties didn't scare me. Get lost, Hunter, I said. He raised an eyebrow as his expression filled with silent rage. He gazed me his gaze made me feel like my back was against the wall. What the fuck do you say? Hunter, why did you come all the way to bother us? Blaze tried to speak up, but James ignored him. It looked like he just selected his victim for this evening. Me. Maybe you don't understand who you're messing with, young lady. I stood there petrified. Don't be weak, June. You can stand up to him. Are you really so bored with your friends that you'd rather pick a fight with us mere mortals? I retorted. But my brazenness didn't sit me well with them. His undershirt slid to one side as he stretched my arm toward me and grabbed me, clutching side of my t-shirt. It didn't hurt, but I froze immediately. I'm not gonna let some little girl talk to me like that. Hey, leave her alone, Hunter. I heard Blaze's voice, but it was Brian who came to my rescue. As soon as he got close, James backed off. Look who's here to looks who I mean looks who's here to try to save the day and push me around. James said. Sam laughed, but the tension skyrocketed when Brian came within an inch of his face. Blame me, Hood, James snarled, his clenched teeth and chin raised. He wasn't afraid of Brian. He didn't seem to be afraid of anyone for that matter. He was clearly satisfied with that reaction he got. I saw Brian clench his fist. The veins on his neck popped out. He was ready to pounce. I missed your fucking face in juvie, Hood. James' irritated expression suddenly changed into a sly, almost smug smirk, but honestly, I miss fucking your sister even more. His provocation caused the tension to boil over. Brian gave in. Brian immediately predicted her brother's next move. His fist landed squarely on James' nose. Here we go again. Blaze blurted out, shaking his head. James' face was full of blood, but nobody could stop him. I saw him spit on the ground and grab Brian by his t-shirt collar. Blaze, in few of James' friends, immediately tried to intervene, causing even more chaos. As I tried to retreat, I recognized William, the guy from the locker. He was also trying to separate the two of them when suddenly our eyes met. Hi, he mouthed at me in the middle of the chaos. Hi, I whispered back. I stared bewildered for a few moments while the guys were chomping the bit to beat the crap out of each other. William didn't seem to have anything to do with what was going on. He smiled at me. Blaze finally managed to restrain Brian while James' friends struggled to hold him back. I saw him wipe off the blood with his back of his hand and glare at me and William. Let go, Will. Hood and his friends are fucking bringing me down, he spat out sharply. William cleared his throat with a hint of embarrassment. Sorry. Those were the last words he shot at me before retreating with him. Amelia looked shaken enough, and Brian was a bundle of nerves as we walked toward the car. I asked myself why she still liked that jerk, but the answer was pretty obvious. How come you guys hate each other so much? I inquired with the hope that, unlike his sister, would answer me. Amelia looked shaken up, and Brian was a bundle of nerves walked toward the car. I asked myself why she still liked that jerk, but the answer was pretty obvious. How comes you guys hate each other so much? I inquired with the hope that, unlike his sister, Brian would answer me. Jade Hunter does that on purpose. He's a troublemaker. That asshole like love picking fights with people. Blaze whispered in my ear, "It's better like this." It never ended well when we cut hands with Brian. Brian flung the jeep door open and glared easily at me before I could get in. Well, that's was a hell of a scene you made, June. I sensed some anger in his tone. What are you talking about? I asked, bewildered. I saw how you and William Cooper look all googly eye at each other. Don't you know him? No, well, he helped me out. Don't fall for it. He just like them, he said as he cut me off before I could get into the back seat. Brian mood was surely sore. Brian's mood was surely soured by heated arguments that just took place, but but he was right about one thing. If I wanted to stay out of trouble, I had to be careful. Number five, June. Do I hear myself talking? 37, June. I woke up later that I woke up later than usual the next day. I wasn't a morning person. In the fact, I loved to lie under the covers for hours. I scrolled through the TikTok until I realized that it was already 11:30. My stomach had been growling for a while, so I went downstairs to get some breakfast in peace. But my plans went right out the window. I heat up a glass of milk in the microwave, grab a big can of cornflakes, and set out into the kitchen in a stool. Then my mom interrupted me with her typical yapping. Don't get me wrong, it makes me happy to see you going out with your new friends, but are you sure you're not letting it get in the way of your schoolwork? Good morning to you, too, Mom. I replied reluctantly. My mom spent her days painting in her studios, and as soon as she left there, she resumed her favorite pastime, bothering me. To her, letting it get in the way of your schoolwork was not spending the night studying. I'm just pointing it out because I know you. Every time you change school, you spend the first 2 days getting caught up. Besides, you never went out before. Thank you for you always being ready to remind me of my unsociable past. But yeah, I met a few people like I made it between keeping spoonfuls of cereal. My clothes don't really work for the Californian weather. Will you go with me to get something new? She ignored my question because she was only interested in the first part of my answer. Are you talking about boys? No, we're talking about mythological creatures with tentacles for arms. Ma, please let's not. I snapped irritated. What I say? I guess. want to know if you met someone who you know quite you are," she said as she made air quotes and pretended to be my friend. But that's why all a shame. She only knew to pry. I met both male and female classmates, and they all blurred together. I'm not interested in any of them. I mimicked her air quotes and tone. She looked up at the ceiling, then walked around the kitchen island and stood in front of me. "If you want, I'm free this afternoon. I'll take you to the mall," she chirped, taking Siri right out from under my nose. When you see my eye gas facial expression, she nodded. "You want new clothes? Fine, we'll get clothes with the same size. Otherwise, we'll have to buy you more new clothes in a month." If I could burn her with my eyes, I would have, but I'm picking them, Mom. You don't have a say. The afternoon at the mall went by faster than we thought it would for one reason. I didn't like spending hours going from store to store like my mom did. I knew what I liked. I knew my style was the point of wandering around store blindly and pursuing countless racks of clothes if you know you'd never wear them. I only ever wear pickup cargo pants, long t-shirts, nothing with prints, plunging necklines or off the shoulders. I like tight dresses, mini skirts, and tight tops, but I'd never be able to pull them off. I got a new pair of jeans and a slightly clingy t-shirt, nothing too flashy. We're walking down the row of stores when my mom saw a handsome 40-something man. "Hi, Jordan." They greeted each other like old friends, and I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. "Now, where did this came from?" "This is my daughter. Hi, June. Nice to meet you. I'm Jordan." The man shook my hand firmly. I gazed at him for a few seconds, just enough to notice his height and well-built physique. He was athletic with blonde hair streaked with some gray and broad shoulders accentuated by his freshly pressed shirt. I said hi and then went back to check out the window displays while discussing paintings. I often wonder that I found art to be such a boring form of self-expression. The painting my mom loved so much in the gallery, she dragged me to never did anything for me. Maybe I don't have the right eye for it, or maybe people could say the same about my passion for TV. I love to write too, but nothing compared to binge watching Euphoria and Gossip Girls reruns. I feel like I was born to do this. That suddenly my mom's shrill voice slapped me out of it. See you at dinner next week. Talk to you soon, Jordan. They didn't touch each other, but they gave each other a smile that was more than telling. Is he the guy who asked you on a date? Isn't, isn't he the guy who asked you on a date? Mom bring her notes before fixing her long blonde hair. She gone out after an intense day in her studio. In a show, she wasn't wearing makeup, and she was less put together than usual. She still looked beautiful. She shot an inquisitive look at the window display as if she tried to see her reflection. She was dying to know what she looked in front of that guy. I told you, it's not a date. He wanted to see my work, her work, sure. So that's what the 40 somethings are calling it now. She started speed walking toward the exit, and I dawdled behind her. Can he come to our house? Can he visit you in your studio? Do you guys have to go to dinner? I understand you're not an expert in this area. The exhibit definitely won't be in the house. It'll take place at at a major art gallery. There always take place there. I argue. That's why we went to meet in person to discuss the details of what to show him. A few digital examples of our work, and sure, of course, and tell me, is this didn't your schedule? Can you let in that case I'm gonna be the only need third wheel? Try not to be a smart Alec. We're not gonna be alone. He has a son. Actually he has actually he got two. That's why I want you to come. It won't be romantic at all. No chance. My mom shook her head in disappointment. She was used to my teenage moodiness. The more you grow up, the more you whine. We're walking through the mall, sliding door to the dark parking lot when two familiar figures caught my eye. I recognized one of them by his tall athletic frame. He was wearing a red Letterman jacket with the large logo on the back. Large logo on the back. It was the same jacket that I seen Jackson wear. I tried to avert my gaze, but my curiosity got the best of me. Jackson was hugging another guy. To this point, there was nothing out of the ordinary, but caught my eyes was the way they were clinging to one another. My mom was already in the car and looked at me impatiently. I lingered with my car door open. The second guy was smaller, and his face seemed to bury in the blonde chest. I didn't recognize him. I could only make out detail, a gray wool cap. No, it couldn't be Blaze. 8 June. It was Amelia, and so often happened that Saturday I was about to pass out on top of my physics book. It wasn't because I was tired. The subject just bored me to death. Suddenly, I pulled my note out of the pages and saw my phone screen light up. Amelia, are you going to the game tonight? June, what game? Amelia, Brian. June, what are you talking about? Amelia, my brother Remember 5'9", green eyes, kind of a pain in the ass. What do you say? June, what sports are we talking about? Maybe football. June, I say Marys. We don't play, talk about, or get off our ass for any other damn thing except football. Football wasn't a sport I had ever really been a fan of. Maybe because it was too violent for my taste, but this evening I would have done anything to take a break. Okay, we can't pick me up? Yeah, get ready. We'll be there in a few minutes. I put on the jeans and a hoodie that then told my mom was going out. She was sitting on the couch and staring at her phone. She remembered, and didn't make, she remembered, okay, and didn't ask me any more question. I made it pull up in Brian's car and Naya's got in and I noticed that someone was missing. Where's Blaze? Miss Smile, please. Maybe I should tell her that Blaze was only a friend, or maybe I should tell her that I seen him hugging the guy in the mall parking lot that afternoon. Or precisely that he was in Jackson's arm, James Hunter's friend. I turned to her and realized how was dressed in a light blue top with St. Mary on it in a white pleated miniskirt. Wait, let me get this straight. Are you a cheerleader? Is that too cliche for is that too cliche for you, Miss White? Is a cheerleader? She teased me confidently. No, 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 I don't know. That's all. Actually, I thought it made a lot of sense for her, but I couldn't help wonder if she ever felt comfortable with her body like all the other girls' school did. We got to football. We got to the football bill. We got to the football field 10 minutes later. The bleachers. We got to the football. We got to the football field 10 minutes later. The bleacher were ready for football. A big deal here, huh? I asked. Yeah, June. We're the best team in all of Orange County. The crowd of spectators was made up of parents, male classmates, and most of all girls. I recognized Sammy, the, sh- the short blonde girl who was always talking to James in class. In the first row, June. June was sitting in the first row. June, these are my best friends, Poppy and Ari. When introduced me to two girls. Hey, June, wait, right? Ari was the first one to talk. She was delicate with long dark hair, legs that were slender and solid. So, it's interesting. Elena was perfectly drawn on her lids. Oh yeah, that one. I was the one I saw making out with Brian at the skateboard. That's Poppy. Ari pointed out the tall slender girl with her hands in my braid, sitting next to her. Hey, June. Do you guys move here? Another thing I've seen you before. Where do you live before? I'll wait a few seconds long to open my mouth, and she started to talk again. You seconds too long to open my mouth, and she started talking again. You don't want to be a cheater, don't do you? Are you in class with Sammy? I cleaned up for a few seconds. Too many questions. Puppies never shut up. You'll get used to it, Ari grinned. I didn't know how to react, so I smiled and I answered the next question. Yeah, Sammy's class. I saw her together with James before. Ari was with Amelia, who immediately looked up and nauseated. Please, let's not start with that bitch. She snapped, adjusting her top. Her like eyes darkened even more as another girl walked toward us. It was a blonde I see with James at the vending machine on the first day. That's Taylor. Papa broke her notes in disgust. I didn't see you at morning practice. I'm talking to you three, she said Taylor, addressing Poppy, Ari, and Amelia. You screw one step, even when I swear I caught you from the team right there and there. Then she glared at me, and you are. So certainly not the goddess on earth like you. I kept that response to myself and just muttered, June. Well, get lost, twerp. The first rose for cheerleaders. Well, we all know that every school has their bitchy queen bee, but this was a bit much. She's with me, and she can say to you, Amelia, directly coming to my defense. Technically, she is not, Poppy interjected, but Amelia motioned for her to shut up. The head cheerleader testified, her gaze staring at them one by one. Then she called her friend, Tiffany? Recognized the Czech who was out of breath as he joined them. It was a redhead who been with James. Was there any girl he hadn't had his greasy paws on? Tell me, Taylor, can you remind these can you remind these four bimbos who's in charge here? You, she asked Tiffany with an amused snicker. And, and who decides who can sit in this row and who should get the fuck out? Bravo, it's always you, I groaned impatiently. What do you want, a cookie? I'm leaving. I turned around and walked along the first row. June, sit here. Don't go. Amelia chased after me, pointed the first row of the bleachers where there was a duffel bag overflowing with bottles. I'll leave you with three water bottles. Thanks. You know how to make me feel useful, I muttered as I sat down. Amelia went back to the team and started to warm up as the players filed on the field. Brian was the first one out. He was wearing a white jersey with number 15 on it. James Hunter swaggered out a short time later. He shredded like he always did with his trademark arrogant scowl. And his teammates joined him. Streaming Berserker's guy. Once his teammates joined them, he started warming up. He wasn't wearing his helmet, and the way he carried himself made him look like he was showing off, sparking a fellow members from a sea of girls. His jersey clung to him just right, the fabric emphasizing his lean frame as he strutted across the field. Exhibition, I thought. Ex- Expositionist, I thought to myself. I admire his body shaking away his square jaw clenched as his I admit Brian. They glare at each other. James ripped his gaze away first, then grabbed a bottle from the duffel bag, then veins in his neck swelled as he chugged the water like he hadn't anything to drink in years. I immediately thought of his cologne, how absurd. I'd never smelled something so intensely that it was etched in my brain for days. He pulled his lip from the bottle and sneered maliciously at a group of girls who returned the glare with cackling greetings. Poppy and Amelia headed toward the bleachers, drawing my attention. Let's hope it doesn't end like it usually does, Poppy let us clip as she went to retrieve her bottle. What usually happened? I asked inquisitively. Hunter and Hood beating each other up. How come? Are their teammates? Poppy was clear the group loudmouth. If she didn't tell me who would, we gotta go, June. I look a minute cheering for us. Amelia interjected, dragging her friend with her. Instead, instinct told me Amelia had something to do with all this. Joy mind her own business. Was I planning on it? Absolutely not. The first half went quickly and Amelia came up to me at halftime. She almost speechless. Don't lose your voice, I teased. I threw her water and she winked at me. I don't think Amelia. She's an amazing girl. You wanna know what I think, June? Even though that made me happy, the statement weirded me out. Tell me. You think you're better than others, she says from the top of her perfect body. What do you mean? I reply embarrassed. I see how you look down on us. You think we're Baites who like to show our asses. Can you convince me otherwise? I asked. Obviously, I didn't have anything against Chileans, but dressing like that and cheering for a bunch of sweater guys who were killing themselves to catch a ball definitely didn't do anything for me. Let me convince you otherwise. You challenged me. Come to practice and try it out. You'll see it's harder than it looks. After the game, the guys went to the locker room while I looked in confusion at the scoreboard. If it wasn't for the block of If it wasn't for the block letters on the board, I never have figured out who won. Come here, June, called Ari as she saw me stop between the first few rows. Since when do the water girls came with us? Taylor said sharply as we headed toward the school lawn. Being threatened? Crypted Millie with an air of satisfaction. Why should I be afraid of a pair of stumpy legs? Taylor shot me a, dis- a disdainful look. Because they're shorts, but they can easily kick your ass, I exclaimed. I heard a chuckle behind us. The football players had just gotten out of the locker room, and one of them laughed. A tall, blond, well-built one. Jackson, I examined his athletic frame, his height, his straw-colored hair, the piercing on the eyebrow and the lower lip. Now I'm sure of it. He was definitely the guy I'd seen the parking lot. I wonder what he was doing with Blaze since they hated each other. Okay, it's official. I feel sick, Tiffany exclaimed, fanning her face with her hand after she leaned her elbow against the locker room outside the wall. You okay? I asked worriedly, not noticing how pale she was. Do you want to lay down? No, I don't feel too good, she said again, seriously, staring at the fixed point. My concern vanished when I saw what she was staring at. Taylor was just joining James on the other side of the lawn, planting a kiss on his cheek. Oh, come on. I was so indignant that I felt her that left her to deal with her supposed illness. Luckily, Amelia came back with a plate of snacks. I devoured them in the frenzy as Poppy was telling me about her life, including regaling me about her past rabbit trials and terror relations. I often glanced in the other direction. James looked tired. Suddenly, a pair of blue eyes were glaring at me. I looked away immediately. Damn, me and my curiosity. June, William voice randomly. Will. I turned around to see that he had already changed. His tousled hair was still wet. I'm happy to see you again. I was gobsmacked. Had he really just said that? Amelia, Poppy, and other girls from the Chilean squad were next to me, staring. Are you part of the Chilean squad? Me? No, no way. That's a shame. I wouldn't mind seeing you around more often. For a moment, our eyes met. Then we looked at each other's mouth. It lasted only for a moment, but I immediately noticed the chemistry between us, and that revved me up. Will James' grating voice ripped his Will James' grating voice ripped his friend's attention away from me. Come on, this joint won't roll itself. To the point I shook my head, but then again, what did I expect if Williams was James' friend? He certainly couldn't be a saint. Sounded like you were being examined at Bristol, but William immediately noticed by James' mood. You good? He asked, scrutinizing me. Yeah, I lied, pushing a lock of hair behind my ear like I always did when I felt uncomfortable. Now the conversation was dead, and when I saw William move away, I was on the verge of saying goodbye. Something made him turn back. You're dating Blaze, right? He's my friend. That's not a problem. Then I'm asking because I saw him squint, almost nervous about what he was going to say. Do you want to go out with me, William? Will you fucking get a move on? It was Hunter again. He was getting impatient and I was getting annoying with him. I turned around, shot him a look. He looked down his nose at me. He made me want to smack in the face right then and there. Well, June, we don't concentrate. June, quit to talking to Rhythm, just you and me. On the other hand, I was over the moon. He liked me, but on the other hand, William Cooper, I don't know how William Cooper really was. It's me and you, June. Even though knowing them, my friends will be the first in line to snoop around. Remember, James isn't very cool with me, I specify. I'll make sure he's not in your way. I'll take it to tropical. What's that? I smiled at her too while judging by my cheeks were starting to hurt. It's like a cafe in an arcade in a music park, a little bit of everything. You like it? I was losing self control because I was hearing sneakers behind me. Okay, but by one condition, I said, a chorus of Tom and Jerry standing behind us. Suddenly, I felt transported back to elementary school. William ignored and for his blonde eyebrows. He was listening to me, and I wanted to see them there. A motion to his friends who immediately shut up. It's you and me, June. Well, William grinned at me. It's a date. Then he went back to them. Didn't it really take you that long? Didn't it really take you that long, Will? If we get that fucking bitch. James groaned between clenched teeth. I saw William smile. A big question came to mind. Was he really into me, or he was really messing with me? 9. Brian. Hey Google, living room lights off. Ooh, that's a good thing. Este es living room. Y este. Dining room. Dining. Sí, dining room. Todavía. Brian, there was a hole in my bedroom wall right behind the headboard. I punched it when I was 8 because I just got in a bad grade. Oh, I see. He punched a hole in the wall. Oh shit. Nobody ever bothered to plaster it over. My mom pretended not to see it, so every morning I hit it again. Always in the same place, not to give Amelia a reason to worry. My sheets were always in a heap in the morning at the battlefield, which I forced to fight against the night. Every night I found the sheet she recognized in perfect order by Miss Maria. I knew they'd go back to the way they were. I tapped my phone to turn off the alarm, but I still tired. I dragged myself to the window. I figured the lawn came into view. Amelia was vaping. I pulled up the blinds. First thing in the morning, it's 6:40. What's your deal? Chill. I don't take two hits before breakfast. She yelled from the downstairs. I'm gonna kill him, Hunter. I've been back for less than a week, and he's had already started signaling his usual shit: prescription pills, weed, and party drugs of all kind. I'm not talking. I'm not taking you to class. Hi, get back inside. I threatened. Now the time for usual morning routine: shower, boxer shorts, pants, and jacket. I was put together and well groomed enough to look like my mom's son. It was a shame that I only saw my dad's reflection and went downstairs. Amelia was pouring maple syrup onto her pancakes she already in, in court. Mom was a defense attorney. I poured some coffee as Amelia laughed at her phone. What's so funny? I asked. The girls and I are throwing a party. Seriously? Why? But most importantly, where? Calm down. Not here. It's celebrating June movie here. I was glad June was fitting in, but it didn't seem like a good enough excuse to raise hell. Also, also, also that would mean that Ari would drag me to something I had no interest in being and not at his place to clarify. I made her pour cold milk into a steaming cup of coffee and looked at me up and down. James has the biggest house out of not at his place, I said, putting my foot down. Besides, he and June can stand each other, so I doubt he'd be up for it. I turned around suddenly to hide my rage. Did you already talk to him? Did they really Did they really talk to him about it before telling me? Didn't you understand why you shouldn't talk with that? I brushed my teeth. Brian, chill. I'm not talking to James. I just want June to understand that she is fully part of a group. My sisters talk a big game about being a rebellious, not conformist bad girl, but she was actually more naive. Just an excuse to make trouble, and and we had enough of that. I shook my head as she scoffed loudly. Let's go. We'll talk about it later. Is Ari coming this afternoon? I don't know, I said curtly. All right, let me know so I so I can give you some privacy. She made a mischievous face that I pretended not to see. Also because there was nothing mischievous about my relationship. Cut it out. You were fun once upon a time, Brian. Once. The bell hadn't rung yet. Blaze was fiddling with his chain between his fingers as I stared into space. We're sitting on the lawn enjoying the morning peace and quiet when the rumble of sports car caught our attention. They didn't even have to turn around to know who it was. Hunter and his friends were making their grand entrance. Did you just see a ghost? I asked. I saw Blaze's facial expression suddenly changed. No, forget it. He shook his head. Can we move on with our life and pretend he is not back? I complain nothing. I complain noticing that he was staring at Hunter's group. We just we just not go, Brian. Of course, are you gonna be the one to tell my girlfriend then? Sure, I'll tell her, but be careful. Soon your reputation will beat mine. Meaning, I scroll that you're getting bored. Ring. Is that what the girl says about you at tease? He shrugged and went back to staring at the gate. Who's a lucky girl? I asked. What? You've been staring at the gate for a while. Do you want me to be pretend not to notice? If you could mind your own business, that would be great, Brian. Blaze was reserved. He never had a girlfriend, and I really ever saw him talk to any girls. Do you like June? I probed June. I nodded. It was already starting to shrug. And she keep. Blaze's expression only meant one thing, not much to look at. Blaze was the kind of the guy who get excited about Game of Thrones and describe it as sublime as and off the charts. If he was that non-committal about June, he must be interested in her at all. I think she's pretty. I think she's real pretty. I threw her about three to Garcia's reaction. It seems strange. It seems strange to me that someone like Blaze wasn't into June. I think she's really pretty. I threw it out there to gauge his first reaction. It seems strange to me that someone like Blaze wasn't into June. He was a smart dude guy. He didn't only care about appearance. He never gave in to advances of even the most unhittable girls. To me, June seems sharper than the average chick, but even she didn't do for him. You don't even know her. Blaze shot back. Jackson and Tiffany appeared on his own now. Obviously, they were with Hunter. I actually talked to her a few times, and unlike Poppy and the others, she seemed like she could carry on a serious conversation. You realize that you are also low-key insulting your sister, right? He wrote his identity to missionary. Blaze was my best friend, and for one reason, he didn't know how to lie. He told you exactly what he thought, and if Ari was sometimes superficial, I knew it too, but I love her warts and all. Let's change the subject. I lost his attention as soon as Hunter sat down on the bench near us. He vaped. He had a vape between his lips and usual arrogant expression. Jackson settled in nearby with his arm around Tiffany, who seemed to have just rolled a joint. Hunter stretched his arm out on the back of the bench and fiddled with Tiffany curls and Jackson jacket collar. It was shameless. I would like if he was all bark and no bite, but he's been boxing since he was in elementary school. The last time we encountered each other, he sent me to the hospital with two broken ribs. If he could have killed me. I still wonder what had stopped him. They disgust me. They changed girlfriends, like they changed their underwear. I realized this while watching Tiffany get go in Jackson's ear. Wasn't she with Hunter? Was she doing with the other one? Jackson isn't with Tiffany, Blaze. Blurted. Hold on. Are you jealous of them? My sister voice surprises us, blaring like a horn. Amelia sat next to us as Blaze blushed. I guess we got him this time, I commented. No, Blaze. Please, it's not Tiffany. She even worse than Taylor. What are you talking about? What? No, no, nobody's worse than Taylor. He corrected her. At least Taylor is a bitch. Tiffany is so vapid that is scary, I say without a hint of tact. Who are you talking about? We heard steps behind us. I grinned as I recognized Ari's voice. She slipped under my arms. Brian. I caressed her cheek even though I recognized her tone. She wanted something. Tell me, honey. I ignored Blaze and made a gross out of expression as Ari and I rubbed the tips of our noses against each other. We were thinking about throwing a party. Okay, I grumbled despondently. The deck was stacked against me, which is why I gave it in so easily. Ari ran her fingers through my hair to ruffle it as she gazed at me, her cat eyes. Okay, just like that, without putting up a fight. If I asked you, you have to tell me to go to hell, Blaze exclaimed. Ari smiled. This is no way. Ari smiled. Is that way? I asked him, Blaze, she revealed. Yeah, it's the long eyelashes. And the great tits that you don't have, Blaze added immediately inappropriately like always. Blaze jumped up as the bell rang. He been really elusive lately. In fact, I thought he was seeing June on the sly. When I started reading together, he asked before heading out. Brian with me today, interrupted Ari. Leave them alone, Blaze. They're making me nauseated, Amelia said. Blaze and Amelia disappointed as Ari threw her arms around my neck. I don't think it's a good idea. I have to study today, I said. You always have to study. Can you at least make up another excuse? It's not a lie, it's true. My voice barely cracked. Would there always be this divided between us? Would the day ever come when I could tell her everything? We've been together for years, Brian, she muttered under her breath. I know, but I can't today. We've been together for 2 years, Brian. I know, but I can't today. They promised you'll come to the party this weekend. Do it for me. Don't you say you will and then not show up? I nodded absentmindedly. I promise. And I promise that you're not gonna not go home trash. You can't. You know, I can't think we have games. She suddenly have a dark look on her face. She fiddled with the ponytail, which fell on her back before she tucking again. And I'm referring to get beaten up if you get into it with James. I heard an annoying whistle, which made it possible to think reasonably. Why do you call him by his first name, Brian? You should even look at him. I realized I was squeezing her hand too hard as Ari pulled away. Please don't be jealous of him. I'm not stupid. I see how he looks at you. I tried to loosen up, but my tone was still cutting. Ari stared at her friend for a few seconds. I gotta go. I got a math first period, and you know she hates me. She slipped between my fingers, almost like she was flitting for me. Will he be at the party too? I asked, grabbing her by the wrist. Of course she will. We'll probably go to Williams. Since parents are traveling, she lays her finger in mine. It was a vicious cycle. I was hope. things would change, but they never did. Will and June have a date tonight? If they get together, you have to start considering closing the door on everything that happened last year. I made a face and she smiled. Brian, I stood up and looked down at me. Yeah, I'm coming over this afternoon, and I'm not in the moody, and I'm not in the mood to study. 10. June. What did you say the name were? 10. June. What did you say the names? I was in the car with my mom, and it was like I was in the third grade again. Emilia, Poppy, Ari. And they are girls? Mom, I shouldn't have lied, especially the night before seeing the guy I just mad. But if I told her I was going out with someone of the opposite sex, I, I have shot myself in the foot. I crossed my finger, hoping that William wasn't a serial killer. Must stop in front of Tropical, look at me suspiciously. Where are they? 1025. Call. Mom, where do you think they are? They're waiting for me inside. 11:30. I opened the door and jumped out and walked into the game room. I was bombarded with lights and trippy colors. Guys and girls were drinking and leaning against the pool table. Others were lining up for the bowling alley. It was a little crowded, but all in that chatter was pleasant. I saw a few familiar faces in the crowd. I saw someone wave, then heard William's voice. June, I'm right here. I'm happy to see you. His voice mingled with the background noise as he came toward me. I smiled back at him. He was wearing a tight fitting t shirt that peeked out from under an army green jacket. He looked even harder than usual. I looked around a bit and ascertained that there was no trace of any of his friends. Come on, let's sit down. He invited me, motioning to a small, secluded table. The part of Tropical looked like a classic 50 diner with red and black checkered tablecloths and a royal stool at the counter. Do your mom drive you? Yeah, I sat down and realized we were alone. What's she like? Crazy. My answer made him raise an eyebrow. I mean, she's an artist, I explained. I took a deep breath and tried to calm down. I'd never been alone with a guy, even at school. It was my first date. Interesting. What kind? He inquired attentively. He was making small talk, but the way he made eye contact with me made him seem genuinely interested. The idea that our day was a joke had crossed my mind more than once, but in that moment, when I was with William, I started to believe that he was serious. That he was serious. She does contemporary art with some realism inspiration to pull out the adjective I heard a million times during my mom's exhibition. She's in layman term cool stuff, he said as he leaned toward the counter, hoping to get a waiter attention to bring us a menu. Where's stuff? I corrected. I thought so. Tell me, what is just the two of you who move here? Are you an only child? Do you really have to broach this subject on our first date? Poor Williams didn't know what kind of brutal, boring drag my life was, and I have every intention of bringing him the details. My dad remarried. He still lives in Virginia. Were you born? Were you born there? Yeah. Can we talk about something else? I'm sorry. Should we order? I'm so him motioned to the waiter who brought him over a laminated menu. Take. They make great chocolate shakes here, but may you prefer something later? He guessed. Oh, twist my arm. Why don't you? Milkshake it is. I exclaimed impulsively. Winner stared at me interview. You know, supposed it's so big that in the Guinness Book of World Records, but you set the record for the first girl to ever talk on the challenge like that if you finish. if you finish it. I'm up for a challenge, so tell me something. Do you like playing football? I try to change the subject. Kid laugh. I hate football. Really? Honestly, man, on this conversation, it's kind of cool. Willie drummed his fingers on the table nervously, without looking at the menu. Oh, how would you see run his finger through a lock of his hair? Do you even drink? I didn't care about being nosy. I was there to get to know him. No, exactly. I saw him craning his neck. He kept massaging it with his fingertip. It depends, but not now how he hedged mysteriously. You don't like it? Well, William glared at me. I just can't because of football. I must have pushed too hard because he stood up. I'm going to order. There's a lot of people here. If you wait, they will never get to us. Perplexed, I watched him walk away. It seemed like his mood had changed suddenly, but that might have just been my imagination. I sank into the back of my chair, trying to relax. Billie Eilish was blasting from the jukebox, but I could still hear voices in the distance. You fuck her in my car, James? I whirled around to cut the side of Jackson, blonde hair sticking out from the crowd. So, I trembled when I heard the raspy tone. So what if I did? Snarled James. I spread out on the booths, hoping they would didn't realize I was there. Well, look who's here, Jackson commented as they two passed by my table. Hunter didn't even turn around. He just gave me a nasty look. And now the night was going to hell. What the fuck is she doing here? She has a name, but maybe it's too hard for you. She has a name, but maybe it's too hard for your peen brain to remember then. I pressed my lips and looked at the other way, hoping the Williams will be back soon. Well, what an honor it is to have June White grace us with her presence, Jackson mocked me. I don't want here I don't want her here. The tone of voice made me shiver. It wasn't a joke. What the fuck did she do to you? Come on, leave her alone. The clean shaven guy was with him. He tried to push James to get him to keep moving. Hunter, stay still. I don't want her here. Hunter, tone of voice made me shiver. It was a joke. What the fuck she did to you? Come on, leave her alone. The clean shaven guy was him. He tried to push James to get him to keep him moving. Hunter, stay still. I didn't let out a peep. Viper Rockham will cut a fight, and he already seemed really on the edge as it was. Then ended up he broken. We kind of fight. He made it seem really on the edge as it was. I don't know how guys. I don't know about guys, but I'm gonna get us a round of cokes. I can't fucking stand such people around here. I heard him remember as I saw a water bottle filled with what looked like rum out of his pocket. Of course, they blame anyone else for future DUIs, raging alcohol. I didn't even think that. I said it out loud. James Joseph did tall over my table, but he didn't scare me. Both his friends had me back before he could come any closer. He was so furious that I thought he destroyed me with his eyes. Are you guys defending her too? All she does is run her mouth. And you guys defend her too? All you does she is run her mouth. I covered my mouth. He was an animal, unlike his gentlemanly friends. Come on, James, chill. Jackson strains to hold him back by the arm. I'll fuck you up. Do you understand? Talk to me like that again, and I'll make you ever want to open your mouth again. He threatened. I felt my heart hammer against my chest. James, cut it out. She was joking. His clean shaving friend insisted. Right then, Winnie came back with our drinks, but I was so shaken with my hands were trembling. What's going on here? I brushed out partly out of embarrassment and partly out of rage. We were just heading out, Jackson grumbled. The trio turned around and walked away. I don't know why, but once again, I got my impression that William has some sort of power over James. I don't know why, but once again, I got the impression that William had some sort of power over James. Maybe the kind he could make him drop off the face of the earth. How can you stand him? I asked bluntly, William put the glasses on the table carefully so they wouldn't spill. Uh, you know what? I'm gonna stop there. I don't know why, but once again, I got the impression that William has some sort of power over James. Maybe that kind of could make him drop off the face of the earth. How could you stand him? I said bluntly. William put the glasses on the table so that wouldn't spill. He's my best friend. That not good enough reason. He has anger issue. He has self control problems. He's rude. He's smiling when they look around with his slight sword. What did he say? He asked. I didn't answer. And what about what you said to him, June? Nothing. Just that he was an alcoholic with a DUI future. I noticed his brow furrowed. It's better not to make any jokes about alcoholism. He's being a dick, but he has issues too. Quite a few, I say. Still, I knew it was uncalled for, but regardless for James' past or present family situation, he didn't have a right to act like that. And what kind of problems could he have had? The usual violence, dad in absent mom. I hated James Hunter so much that I couldn't feel sorry for him whatever he had happened. Let us ruin with a tragic story. Does not ruin does not ruin the night tragic stories for suggesting. In an attempt to change the subject, should we get back to us to the street? This his voice was electrifying, so much so slowly relaxed. Maybe that would be better, I sighed. So how many times did you change school? Too many. How do you start over every time you move? New house, new friends. I'm used to it. I got a little world in a suitcase that I always bring with me. And somehow I feel at home. William lowered his head a bit and gazed into my eyes. In what is June White's little world? Books, notes, loneliness, and were those too pathetic to tell a guy outside of him? I like reading thrillers and spending evenings watching true crime shows. I replied without thinking. I replied without thinking. I like reading thrillers. I like reading thrillers and spending evenings watching true crime shows. I reply without thinking. I reply a lot too when I was a kid. Mostly comic, but I prefer movies. His tone was calm and reflective. Maybe William was too patient that would explain why his friends with those thugs essentially took advantage of him. Do you write too? He asked quizzically. I nod. Did I too? He asked incredulously. I nodded. I really seemed incredulous. I read sometimes I added, massaging the nape of his neck a bit bashfully. I read about my mood, about whatever comes to my head. I explained quietly before taking another sip of my milkshake. Do you want to be a writer? No, just my way of an outlet. Will continued to massage his neck and nodded like he understood. What are you running? I asked. I hope I didn't sound too curious, even though I was. Whatever comes to my head at the time, in your opinion, what leads someone to write? Good question. Is it kind of like what sports are for other people? It's therapeutic, I agree, but I think it requires a certain sensitivity, he comments, fiddling with his straw. Yeah, except sometimes I don't show the kind of sensitivity I smile when I crack up. Not at all. You have to know to be tough, but that's not synonymous with a sensitivity. I've seen you lose your temper more than once. I put my palms on my cheeks to hide my embarrassment. That's really good. I change the subject. Oh well, give me a good food, and you win me over. I told you is the best in town. When I try some, he motioned his juice. And then I passed my cup or knuckles brush like accidentally. When I looked down and then smiled and hit behind the glass, how do you make friends with all those moves? He asked, trying my milkshake. Well, I didn't know if I should answer what friends or if I had kind of friends or I'd rather be alone. Speaking of which, well, I have to talk to you. Someone didn't flip as I heard those three words. They are out, so Jimmy Hunter was back on the other table. I looked down, I had no intention of seeing his smart ass face again. Now, he demanded impatiently. Will muttered and excuse me for 1 second, June. And he got up and walked a measurable distance away with James, but I had very sharp ears. Let me have everything to myself, Will voiced with a tinge with irritation. An evening to fuck away. Nasty. James always used the same sarcastic tone no matter the subject. Don't be a dick. What's your problem with her? What did she do to you when next stiff involuntarily? Do you have to spell it out? Can you see it? She was just a dick by nature. There was an actual reason why he hated me. Not necessarily, James. They kept talking cryptically with pique with my interest even more. You see, you'll be back me up. Not necessarily just they keep cryptically with pig but interest even more. You see you will be back. Just like I'm saying Will sputtered James. Look, I don't care. I like her. Her? She's a classic type of chick who will make mountains out of molehills. With you out there only 3 weeks off because in this criminal mind, 3 weeks will be enough, James. You promised me. I saw William's jaw clench and his expression get darker, but James didn't take a hint to stop. And you promised you help me tonight, Will. Not now. Why? Because I want to talk to her. Bullshit. It's not bullshit. I'm with her because I want to be. She's pretty smart and I like her. Quick being a dickhead when I cut him off before turning around. But that didn't sit well with James. He blocked well before he could come back to me. She's in insufferable bitch. Look, do I say anything when you're Sammy and Becky, Tiffany, Taylor? You forgot Taylor? I only realized I said something as I heard my own voice. James clenched his jaw. He seems like a dog on a chin. Dog on a chin. It would have made me laugh under other circumstances, but this time I put my mouth over my hand. This time I put my hands over my mouth. You shouldn't go back on your word, Will, and live swaggering with your superiority complex. That's, that's where poor morons. You should go back to your own on your own world and left struggling with superiority complex to poor morons, and he was God gift to the world. I made the inspection, huh? I point out then William came back to the table. I know it seems hard to believe, but James really is a good friend. I decided not to dispute that. I didn't want to fight with a guy who objectively hadn't done anything wrong, especially because he had defended me and said a lot of nice things about me. We finished our drink and started talking about school. In order to avoid talking about James, I ranted about the shortcomings of the American education system. When to walk around outside, actually, no. You know what? I challenge you to a game of bowling. This is just a 1 point amuse. You don't. I, actually, I'm gonna would suggest at 1 point amuse. You don't stand a chance with a couple. You're up against an unbeatable bowling champion, so you put a finger up. I would say that wasn't true. I was getting super high from the music, or maybe you're just being happy. She's pretty smart, and I like her. I was clearly over the moon, but that came to a grinding halt when William's phone vibrated. He glanced at the screen, and his expression changed suddenly. Gotta answer. It's my dad. I'll be right back. Levine at the front door decided to avoid the crowd, went outside to breathe the tepid night air. I must have gone out the wrong way because I found myself at the back of the building. It was dark, desolated, and quiet. Everything okay? I jumped. Hunter and his friends were sitting on the bench. All of them looked sketchy. Monk would have called the National Guard, the sheriff, and probably the FBI. You should know it was talking with people like this. Wait, we don't bite the clean shaven guy whose name I didn't know. Took a shut up, Marvin, someone said. I pretended not to hear that and started walking. I didn't have any idea. Didn't have any idea what was going on, but I still realized there were nothing in the direction I was heading. I, Turn around. June, what are you doing? June, June, where are you going? Come here. We'll come in soon. I shot him with the look. Jackson was talking. Yeah, you should come with us, added the girl. Jackson had his arm around him. He took a deep breath and sat down on a nearby bench. What did the guy, glancing with afraid at the girl with him there on. With uninhibited manner of being, their flashy clothes, and the weird makeup, all of it, emphasizing how much they were everything that wasn't that wasn't. I wanted to learn how to put on makeup like that. You're just like I wanted to learn how to wear those heels. In a way that my mom described my feminine graceful instead. I was just June. June wearing a hoodie 3 times too big and jeans that made me look like I read in my mom's classes. Jackson highly gave me once an hour and then asked when I hit. The girl made me joke that I couldn't hear. No thanks, I answered seriously. So June, what do you think of Will? I keep my mouth shut. Is that Will's girlfriend? And asked the curly haired girl who had her around. Oh, Jackson, and she's nobody's girl. The call blast from Hunter raspy voice made me freeze in place. I wasn't gonna give it in. Didn't want to start a fight. Just wanted William to come back. But all my good intentions were out in the window when James sat down next to me. Chill, Snow. Nobody's disturbing your date. What do you want? James Hunter stretched his long arm along the bench as if so on me. I stare in the front of me, trying not to fall into his trap. I think it's bait. It's illegal to look at you now. His voice was so deep and seductive. The I stare at him, trying to fall into his trap, but and take the bait. It's illegal to look at you now. His voice so deep seductive. that could have made anyone forget that sarcastic, disdainful tone with every joke he made. You just told me 2 seconds ago that I shouldn't even talk to you. Make up your mind. I couldn't see him clearly, but Uncle says his arm must have tensed angrily. James Jackson's direction was in the call, but Barkley ordered for him to calm down. What don't you like about her? She's cute. She said the clean shaven guy I ever heard someone call Marvin. The bread stroking Jackson just suddenly asked, "Do you think she's more fuckable than me?" I looked around uncomfortably, then saw a pair of blue eyes staring at me. James Hunter frowned with an air of superiority, then curled up a lip before taking a deep hit from his joint. No more than you or her, Jackson answered behind me. Ew. Yeah, but I'd like to hear what Jamie said. Jamie has to say. The brother said in response. He obliquely leered at me. Yeah, but I'd like to hear what Jamie had to say. The brain assistant in response, he obliquely leered at me as he could see my curve hitting under my hoodie. I don't know, he said without taking his eyes off me. I definitely do her in the ass. My thought closed up right up. The guy was a abominable. He laughed to torment people he was doing for no reason. Come here, Becky. He ordered everything as if had nothing happened. The runner stood, treating herself over mini dress and straightening and then started James, but the joy between her glassy lips and her smile was seriously a jump up. I wouldn't go anywhere near you even if you douse yourself with an entire bottle of disinfectant because I touch you. The sec I touch you. A word elicited contrast responses. Some laughed, other jaws dropped. You're doing it again, Wait, I heard him slur. What? Thinking you were better than anyone else. I never said that, retorted. I pretended not to. I never thought Becky was kissing his neck, rubbing against his leg. Taylor was so too, he added with a shitty grin. He seems totally unfazed by the attention. You and Taylor are talking too. Well, when is the wedding? Jimmy, you said you ended. Jamie, you said you ended it, just Sammy. He got up without worrying about dropping Becky. I gotta say, wait, you make me laugh. I watched him dig around for something in his pocket. He came closer, and I was beginning to so by his cologne. I pursed my lips, and the corner of his lips curved upwards. Clearly, I would have preferred to have stayed 6 feet away from him, but that wasn't in the cards. He bumped into it. He was 6 feet from him, but that wasn't his car. He bumped into me. His face was 100%. I think you're an idiot, James Hunter. He lowered his head to put his forehead against mine. His gaze plunged to me. I was out of breath. So stay, so say that again. Go on, he murmured. No stop there. I felt his breath tickle my lips as my morbid curiosity compelled me to admire his swollen full lips. No little bitch had ever insulted me. He looked deep into my eyes. I quivered. There's a first time for everything, I retorted, swallowing loudly. I expected him to hurl insults at me, but he didn't. James glared. James glared for the umpteenth time and then turned around. You're gonna bring fucking trouble. He pulled out a clear baggie from his pants pocket. Fantastic. Just what I needed. This guy I'm dating, his best friend, isn't just a thug. He also an addict. He pulled out a clear baggie from his pants pocket. Fantastic. Just what I needed. The guy I'm dating, his best friend, isn't just a thug. He also an addict. You don't deserve a friend like Will, I said, recognized the baggie contents. James stuck his finger in the white powder and sucked on it enthusiastically in front of my astounded face. You've barely been here 2 days and you think you know everything, but you don't know shit. I saw him put the baggie back in his pocket before he pulled out a little leather wallet. Do you think anyone cares about your thug backstory? Do you think I or anyone else give a fuck about what you made such a tortured asshole? Instead of getting angry with Instead of getting angry, James sneered, rolled up a dollar bill, and put it behind his ear. And here, where sweet innocent wait is wrong. He whispered around conflicting sensations in me. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about everyone else you think you know. He continued. I thought about Blaze again. Did I see him with Jackson? Amelia, what didn't you tell me what really went on with James and why did Brian hate his guts? Then there was William, he seemed like a perfect guy. But I had a gut feeling that there was something he wasn't telling me. It was weird, but in a moment he seemed like the biggest asshole of all of them and the nicest one of all. Are you still a dickhead? William came back just in time to notice the confused expression on my face. Definitely, I groaned, toying the gravel with my toe, with my, with the tiptoe of my Vans. William shot James a look. Come on, June, let's get it out of here. This place isn't your vibe. William took my hand. I hadn't expected that, but if he got me out of the situation, I was more than happy. We took the side street that surrounded the place, and further we went to the dark, the more I squeezed his finger. I felt my heart racing loudly that I thought it was going to jump out of my chest. Jackson parked on the dirt road back here. I want to show you something. I forgot about my rage, about Hunter, about everything else right now. I was on cloud nine, as cloud when we stopped in front of Jackson our pickup truck. It was totally dark outside, and there were only trees. Come on, get in, Willie urged as he jumped on the truck bed to climb onto the roof. Instantly, I took his hand. As I reached him, I realized why he brought me here. Below us, beyond the cliff of all of Los Angeles lit up. It was beautiful, I whispered. Was it like this in Virginia? No, not at all. I started to get cold and rubbed my hands together. Without being asked, William put my freezing finger between his warm hands. I turned my head and our eyes met. As soon he realized how close our faces were, he got nervous. He got nervous. Damn it, your jeans are getting dirty. I heard him mumble. Don't worry about it. I'm such an idiot. I couldn't have brought a blanket. Sorry, I felt the sand shaking. Well, really, you don't have to apologize. I'm not using to get out on dates with girls. I was floored by a smile, convinced but he was joking. I don't believe you. It's true, June. Even if it might be better to keep that to myself, he bit inside of his cheek. Then we both burst out laughing. Maybe too late to know awkwardness. Does that mean that you never had a long-term relationship? I guess it means that I don't get into relationships at all. He admitted, staring at his hands. Something about you scares them all the way, huh? I exclaimed, laughing. But this time he didn't laugh with me. Okay, calm down, June. Look sensitive, and you're clearly not. He stared, and I cursed myself for my for my umpteenth screw up of the night. Umpteenth screw up of the night. I guess I want to be with someone with like me who see past people looks. Of course, well, he of course well looked like he just stepped off the runway, but the fact that he was particularly attractive didn't mean he couldn't want to build a deeper relationship. Call me stupid, but as soon as I met you, you gave me that impression. June, call me stupid if I ever miss an opportunity like this. I let my instincts take over and closed my eyes. I felt our mouth gaze against each other. I licked my lips to moisten them, and all I needed was a fraction of a second. One in his damn telephone started to ring. My eyes widened, and I looked up into the clouds. William was already holding his phone. His face fell. It's James. I wanted to reach out, grab the phone, and throw it over the cliff. James, what the fuck? Okay, chill out. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I feel a wave of relief and victory and washed over me. When after a few seconds I saw him hang up, but I wasn't as lucky as I thought I was because William slid me down from the roof and held out his hand. Wait, come with me? Where? No time to explain everything. Chapter 11. Hope you guys like this video and subscribe for more Loving Love Me book by Prime Video UK. Have a good day, guys. Bye bye.